Have you ever wondered why airplanes do not fly over Tibet? A curious question, isn't it? It seems like a simple matter of plotting a course and soaring through the skies. But the reality is more complex. The answer lies in a delicate dance of geography, climate, and aviation regulations, unseen factors that shape our world in ways we might not always consider. It's a mystery that's as captivating as the towering peaks of Tibet itself. So, let's unravel this mystery together. Imagine navigating a labyrinth, except this labyrinth is made of towering mountains. Welcome to Tibet, a region where the Earth's crust seems to have been crumpled up like a giant piece of paper, creating an intricate maze of high-altitude ranges and deep valleys. This is a place where the word mountain assumes a whole new meaning. The geography of Tibet is one of extremes. The region is home to some of the highest peaks in the world, including the mighty Everest, which soars to an astonishing height of over 29,000 feet. That's almost as high as cruising altitude for commercial jetliners. The Himalayas, the roof of the world, form a formidable barrier that stretches across the southern part of Tibet, a wall of stone and ice that seems to touch the heavens themselves. Navigating through this geographical maze is like threading a needle while riding a roller coaster. It's tricky, to say the least. The rugged terrain is a labyrinth of peaks and valleys, a maze that changes with the seasons and presents new challenges at every turn. The mountains are not just obstacles in the physical sense, but they also create unique weather patterns that add another layer of complexity to the puzzle. Consider the challenge of flying over a landscape that is constantly reaching up to meet you, where the ground beneath is almost as high as the sky above. The thin air at these altitudes presents a double threat. It reduces engine performance and leaves less room for error in case of emergency descents. And when you factor in the unpredictable weather, you're looking at a real-life game of three-dimensional chess, where the stakes are incredibly high. Flying over Tibet is not just about plotting a course on a map. It's about understanding the land, the wind, the weather, and the altitude. It's about respecting the power of nature and acknowledging the limitations of human technology. It's about making decisions that prioritize safety over convenience. Navigating this labyrinthine landscape is a challenge even for the most experienced of pilots. This is the geography of Tibet, a beautiful but daunting maze that continues to shape the way we navigate our world. Now, add to this labyrinth a tempest of unpredictable weather. And thus, the climate challenge of Tibet comes into play. It's much like trying to navigate a ship through a storm in the Bermuda Triangle. Tibet, often referred to as the roof of the world, is not just a geographical marvel, but also a climatic conundrum. The region's high altitude results in thin, unpredictable air. Imagine trying to dance on a tightrope suspended high above the ground with a gusty wind blowing. That's what flying over Tibet can feel like for a pilot. The weather here is as fickle as a chameleon changing its colors. It can be sunny and clear one moment, and in the blink of an eye, it turns into a fierce snowstorm. This unpredictability is like playing a high-stakes game of Russian roulette with Mother Nature, a game that air travel cannot afford to play. The region's severe and rapidly changing weather conditions can cause turbulence, icing, and other dangerous situations for aircraft. It's like trying to navigate a raft through a river of molten lava, where the path keeps shifting and the obstacles keep mounting. And then there's the winter. The cold in Tibet is not just a season, but a biting beast that can freeze the wings of an aircraft, adding yet another hurdle in this high-altitude obstacle course. The tempestuous weather adds an extra layer of complexity to the already challenging labyrinth. So, the next time you wonder why planes avoid the Tibetan skies, remember the climate challenge that looms over this captivating region. Now, imagine that this labyrinth is not just a physical one, but also one made of red tape. Just as the Tibetan plateau is a maze of towering peaks and deep valleys, aviation regulations form a complex web of rules and restrictions that make navigating the Tibetan sky a formidable task. In the world of aviation, it's not just the weather and geography that dictate the flight paths. Aircraft need to follow a particular set of rules defined by regulatory bodies. These rules are like a map guiding pilots through the sky, keeping them and their passengers safe. Think of it like a chess game, where each piece has a specific role and can only move in certain ways. In the case of Tibet, these regulations are even more stringent due to the region's unique challenges. It's as if the chessboard has been tilted and the pieces are now navigating an uphill battle. The International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO, sets global standards and regulations for aviation safety, security, efficiency, and environmental protection. Among these regulations is a rule that commercial aircraft must always be within 60 minutes of an airport suitable for emergency landing. Given Tibet's harsh terrain and lack of suitable airports, this rule alone significantly restricts the possibility of flights over the region. Moreover, the Chinese authorities have also imposed strict regulations on airspace over Tibet, further complicating the aviation labyrinth. These rules are like a series of locked doors, each one requiring a different key. And even if you have the keys, navigating through this maze is no easy task. To put it simply, the aviation regulations are like a tight-knit net, woven with the threads of safety, security, and political considerations. And just like a net, these rules are designed to catch any potential hazards before they can become a threat. So, while the majestic peaks of Tibet may beckon adventurers from the ground, the skies above are a different story. The labyrinth of regulations adds an extra layer of complexity, creating a virtually insurmountable barrier for aircraft. The labyrinth is not just physical, but also one of bureaucracy, making the journey over Tibet even more daunting. So next time you look up at the sky and see a plane passing by, remember the intricate dance it's performing, guided by the invisible strings of aviation regulations. So as we've seen, the journey over Tibet is a journey through a labyrinth of towering mountains, tempestuous weather, and red tape. Let's take a moment to pull back the curtain on this mystery and see how the puzzle pieces fit together. The geographical, climatic, and regulatory challenges we've discussed form a trinity of obstacles that make flying over Tibet a Herculean task. First, let's revisit the geographical challenge. Imagine trying to navigate a giant maze where the walls keep shifting. That's what it's like to fly over Tibet, with its towering mountain ranges that rise higher than any commercial aircraft can safely fly. It's like a chessboard, where the pawns are Everest-sized, and the game is constantly changing. Next, we have the climatic challenge. Think of trying to sail a boat in a storm, except the storm is unpredictable and the boat is an airplane. The weather in Tibet can change from calm to tempestuous in a heartbeat, making the sky over this region a minefield of meteorological mayhem. Lastly, the regulatory challenges. Navigating through the legalities and regulations of the aviation world can be as tricky as threading a needle in a windstorm. The Tibetan sky is a tightly wound ball of red tape, with stringent regulations and restrictions that make it nearly impossible for commercial airlines to chart a course through. Each of these factors alone would make flying over Tibet a daunting task. But put them together, and you have a three-headed dragon of aviation challenges that airlines would rather avoid than face head-on. So, the next time you're soaring above the clouds, sipping your in-flight coffee, and you notice that your plane is veering away from the majestic landscapes of Tibet, remember this. It's not some random reroute or a whimsical whim of your pilot. It's a calculated, deliberate decision to steer clear of the labyrinthine challenges posed by the Tibetan sky. Next time you're on a flight and you notice that your route avoids Tibet, you'll know that it's not just a random decision, but a calculated move to navigate away from this intricate labyrinth.